German spy.
My wife is not a spy.
If she is, we need to keep her in place for 72 hours so that we can identify her handler and clean out the rest of her circuit.
No.
What's up, movie fans? I'm Wade, your cinephile host. How would you react if you were told your closest companion is a spy for the enemy? Allied is a 2016 romantic war drama thriller film. It stars Brad Pitt as a Canadian intelligence officer and Marion Cotillard as a French resistance fighter who falls in love while posing as a married couple during a mission in Casablanca in 1942. Could this be a true love story or just two spies playing a game? Let's find out. In 1942, during World War II, Wing Commander Max Fatton, a Royal Canadian Air Force pilot with intelligence duty, parachutes into Casablanca in Morocco to assassinate a German ambassador. He is partnered with a French resistant fighter, Marianne Beausejour, who escaped from France after her resistant group was compromised and killed.
What went wrong in Paris? Your entire circuit was taken out.
I never discuss non-relevant operational information with anyone.
I'll try to stay relevant then.
That would be appreciated.
Do they trust you?
2 months ago, I got promoted to the embassy liaison department. I deal with the German legation every day.
But do they trust you?
How did it look?
They seem to like you.
And I like them. I keep the emotions real. That's why it works.
They pose as a married couple, and day by day they grow close, despite agreeing that in their line of work, feelings can get people killed. Marianne, who is trusted by the Germans, secures Max an interview with a high-ranking German officer, who determines who attends the party where they plan to conduct the assassination. The officer discreetly tests Max to see if his identity holds up. Being told Max is in the mining business, he asks him to write down the chemical formula for phosphate.
See you both tomorrow.
So it's in the cards. We get our chance to make history.
That night, Marianne couldn't sleep, so they decide to go watch the sunrise in the desert. Knowing that they might not survive the mission, they make love inside their car in the middle of a desert sandstorm. That night, at the ball, they nervously await their fate. The German ambassador arrives late, but as soon as he arrived, at 8:35 p.m., the decoy bomb goes off, and they manage to assassinate him and successfully escape as well. Max asks Marianne to come with him to London and be his wife. They marry, settle down in Hampstead, and have a baby girl, Anna, who is born during a bombing raid. A year later, in 1944, Max learns from the special operation executive that Marianne is suspected of being a German spy, having adopted her identity after the real Marianne was killed in France.
If Marianne is indeed a German spy.
My wife is not a spy.
If she is, we need to keep her in place for 72 hours so that we can identify her handler and clean out the rest of her circuit.
No.
Max is ordered to write down a piece of false intelligence at home, where Marianne can find it. If the information is picked up from intercepted German transmission, Max must personally execute her, and if he is found to be an accomplice, he will be hanged for high treason. He is told to otherwise act normally and not conduct his own investigation. Defiant, Max visits Guy Sangster, a former colleague who knew Marianne. However, Sangster, blinded in the war, cannot confirm her identity. He reveals that resistant fighter Paul Delamere, who worked with Marianne in France, is still alive in Dieppe and could identify her. Max finds a young pilot, Adam Hunter, gives him a photograph of Marianne with a classified note.
Paul Delamere runs the landing sites. You can't miss him. He only has one arm. He's usually had a few, but he's okay. I want you to give him this. Give it only to him, only to the man with one arm. Tell him you need an answer. A simple oui or no. Only that.
Yes, sir.
Max and Marianne host a house party. His commanding officer, Frank Heslop, comes and tells him that Hunter was killed while waiting on the ground for an answer from Delamere and berates him for his insubordination. Max wonders if he was told about Marianne as a test of his loyalty as part of a promotion to V-section.
Is this a game?
A game?
Game. Test.
I was just saying to Max that he's taken to office life like a duck to water.
I wouldn't know. I hardly see him.
Come on, honey, let's dance.
The next evening, Max takes the place of a pilot and flies to France to meet Delamere, who is being held in a local police station. Max and the local resistance break into the town's jail, but Delamere is drunk and unconvincingly verifies the picture. Just when Max thinks he has confirmed his wife's identity, Delamere reveals a new key piece of information.
There was a piano. She went to it and played La Marseillaise in front of all those Germans. Allons enfants de l'enfance.
The delay gives the French police officer room to alert the Germans, but Max and the resistance manage to defeat them. The next morning, back in England, Max takes Marianne to a local pub and demands she plays the piano. He tells her the story of Marianne Beauséjour, who played La Marseillaise in a cafe full of Germans in 41, and asks her to play for him.
I know the story. She was a very brave woman.
She admits she has been spying for the Germans, but only because they threatened Anna. When asked about the false intelligence, she says she's forwarded the message as well. Max knew this would mean her doom. He asks her if the relationship was real, and she insists her feelings for Max are genuine. Max, unwilling to kill her, tells her they must flee the country. He kills Marianne's German handlers, a nanny and a jeweler. They drive to a local airbase, but Max cannot get the plane to start before Heslop and the military police arrive. He tries to plead his case when Marianne calls out to him.
Max! Je t'aime, mon Québécois. Take good care of her.
Max is left in disbelief and mourns for his wife, while Heslop orders the soldiers present to report that Max executed Marianne as per his orders, so that Max will not be punished. Before her death, Marianne had written a letter to Anna, expressing the depth of her love for Anna and Max, while we see Max fulfilling his dream of moving to a ranch like he's always dreamt to raise Anna.
So much tension going back and forth, with a tragic ending to this unpredictable love story. But it shows us the sacrifice one is willing to make and to what extent people are willing to go to protect their loved ones. Perhaps at a different place, at a different time, Max and Mariana would have had their happily ever after.
接下来我们来揭晓今天的句子。It's in the cards. In the cards means likely or seemingly destined to happen. If you say something is in the cards, you mean that it is very likely to happen. So in this case, when Max is officially invited to the party, Mariana says it's in the cards, meaning they will have the opportunity to accomplish their mission. You can't miss him. You can't miss it, meaning it will be very obvious when you see it. Often used when giving directions. Here, Max tells young pilot to deliver a message to the one-armed man and tells him you can't miss him, meaning he will be easily identified. Like a duck to water. If you take something like a duck to water, you discover that you are naturally good at it, or you find it very easy to do.
In this context, Mac's commanding officer tells Mariana that he's taken to office life very well after being out in the field for so long. And that's it for this episode of Cinephile. You can find more on the FUNDAY website. Let's make every day a fun day.
What went wrong in Paris?
B-section left us hanging out to dry.
How'd you get away?
I ran. And ran and kept on running.
Do today learn. Today is Tuesday.
Commercial.
Traveler 是旅行者。
I have to wait for Clee.
So he or she is at the Columbia Towers Hotel gift store. 所以他在这个饭店的礼品店，然后他要买东西。Okay, so let's take this chance and listen to the.
学习让生活充满乐趣。FUNDAY英语。